I'm so excited to be hanging out with my good friend Jennifer. Jennifer, do you want to introduce yourself for anyone
Yeah,
who doesn't know
hi
you?
Russell. So happy to be here. Jennifer Probst, New York Times bestselling author. I have over 60 books in contemporary romance fiction, women's fiction, nonfiction, and there's even some children's books in there. So been around the block a long time, 35 years in the business. So seen a lot and
Yes,
happy to be here talking about all the good stuff.
so excited to have you. You know, you were on the six-figure author experiment, and we were talking very extensively about blocks during that and how to break through blocks. So I'm excited to talk with you today. All right, so let's just get down to it. Like, talk us through the biggest block that you faced, or the biggest block that you're coming with us today to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Well, there's always blocks in the writer's business. And I also think that there's different types of blocks. Like there's blocks in your business as an admin, as a CEO, and that's like a separate conversation. But today I want to stick with the writing because it always comes back to the writing. And for me, my biggest block, it was a great question too. I think it's a great question for everybody to really look at their career, whether you're at first book or 60 books because even though it changes, that block is almost like it keeps repeating itself. It comes up, I feel like resistance in like different ways. So I am what you would call a pantser writer. Plot the name of plot or plotter literally makes my muse go and hide under a rock. I have known this from day one when I was taking plotting workshops with Jennifer Cruzy and thinking that that was the best process to have because I was always chasing deadlines, consistently stressed out. Am I going to make it this time? This is the time that my career implodes. And then I figured, okay, if I plot, I will get rid of all of this mess being a pantser. And I did all of the things and I sat there for 2 weeks, not able to write a word. And so my muse was finally like, okay, so the big thing is like I knew that was my process and I had to make nice with it or I wasn't going to do anything about it. So for me, I will have the idea and it'll be shiny and new. I do not do a very in-depth outline. I will do a very shallow type of outline because I figure out story as I go. My entire tagline for my career is chasing the story. My biggest block is from 10,000 words to about 50,000 words. I have 40,000 words right in the middle of the book that I am tortured with, and it comes in different ways. One of the ways is I don't know what happens next. That's one of the ways. The second way is I have to do so much research on something to continue the story. Quick example right now, I'm writing a book. This is like a perfect example because I'm literally right at the 10,000 mark. And already I am realizing I am writing about a rescue rabbit. I have never had a rabbit. I know nothing about rabbits. This rabbit is a real character and is already in a lot of scenes and is going to be stealing the show. I had to stop multiple times to figure out what do rabbits eat? What are their quirks? What do they do? What do they? And it was consistently blocking my process because even though I was like, okay, figure that out later, I wanted to just continue writing. I didn't want to stop because once I stop and go to research, I am out of my flow. And going back into the flow is extremely difficult for me. When I have to go pick up my kid or something like that, it is not like filing. When I come back in my office, I can't just pick up where I want. It takes me a while to get back into that world. So I have had to find ways to get ahead with that process and move forward on deadline. And that's been pretty much my story since I really started writing full time 15 years ago. It was constantly chasing the deadline, getting to, I've got to deliver this book in about 2 months. And how do I get those 40,000 words moving so it's not torturous in my life every time where I want to cry every time I go into the office?
Yeah,
I do
well,
love writing, guys. I do love it.
right. Well, I mean, that leads us like, how do you do that? Like,
Yeah.
how do you do that without crying?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm a teacher that is always like joy, joy, joy. And I am, because if I'm not joyous, then I don't want to write, I don't want to have a writing career that's torturous. So, the what I do is I write things that I'm passionate about, but like that, those 40,000 words are always coming in. So I'm going to say one of the biggest things I do now is I'm an email junkie. It's like a slot machine for me, because I think if I check email, I'm going to get, I don't know, the lottery. Like Reese is going to be like, "Hey, I discovered your book in the library, and guess what?" So I'm like, did Reese like email me today?" So for me, the distraction is email. The best thing to do for me is to block out, and it's easier said than done, but I have learned how to block out time where I am not allowed to check anything. I'm not allowed to check social media. I'm not allowed to check. I do that with I do that with timers. I do that with just like discipline. And it is like I am in the story and I have to sit my butt in the chair for 2 hours. And if I don't write anything, I don't write anything. And then eventually my muse will get bored, going back and forth, and I will start somewhere. So that somewhere is there. I also put research kind of aside. I will do that in blocks now. So I took an hour and I researched rabbits, because the thing is that when you're researching something, it's not like, okay, this is what a rabbit does and then you go write your scene. For me, I have to ingest what is being a rabbit. So the rabbit, I know this sounds crazy, guys, but then the rabbit happens naturally and organically in my story, and the reader isn't like, "Oh, rabbits eat this," or like, you don't want the scenes to look like that. So if I go separately and let all of that research sink in, take some long walks, like give it some time, then it kind of organically comes back in my writing. And I don't have to keep dragging myself out of the story like at that time. Um, what else? It's don't get stuck on one process. Okay, this is the other thing. I write linear my entire life. I was completely married to that process. So if I'm on chapter 8 and I don't know where I'm going, I would stay on chapter 8 even though I would miss like 2 days of work or something like that. Just being stubbornly in the cycle. What happens next? Do this, do that over and over. Now I kind of allow myself, if there is a scene or if there is any kind of thing that interests me, I will now jump around. I have learned that writing, I can go right into a scene, and then it is not a problem for me to do puzzle pieces. Sometimes I am being given a scene that's not going to happen later. And what I find helpful is then I can write towards that scene. So instead of plotting it out, it's kind of like a pantser's way to plot in a way. It's like, "Oh, this scene I know wants to happen like the third of the book or whatever." And then I'm like, "What do I need to do to get toward that scene?"
Mhm.
And that kind of tricks my mind a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Um,
so interesting. I love that. And one of the things I love about Plot Tribe is like you can just make a new project and be like, this scene goes question mark. It goes somewhere. I don't know where it goes, but like I'm gonna write it.
Yes. So Russell, big help with Plot Driver. Like this was literally what was happening is I have all of these secondary characters, right? Again, I figure out these secondary characters and their personality and how they're going as I go. But I was literally writing the scene and I'm like, I don't know what the secondary character really does. Like I'm going to need to figure this out. So I put in everything I know about this character in Plot Driver. And I'm like, "This is everything I know. Can you help me give me more details?" Oh my God, what a hallelujah. It came up with, and I didn't need all the stuff, but man, it was everything I needed. It gave background, it gave physical description, it gave how he talks, the cadence, where his motivation's coming from, how he can help the character. Like literally put it in Plot Driver. This is everything I know about the secondary character. It comes back, and then I have something to jumpstart back into. I know exactly what I like about what it gave me, what I don't like about what it gave me. And then like I'm like lit up because it's like a brainstorming partner,
Mhm.
and I don't have to stop and go to another place to find the brainstorming or research. So that to me helped kind of just kept me writing. It was a godsend.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so people listening to this, like aside from use Plot Drive, which
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Like,
Yeah.
how would you coach someone through the same kind of stuff? I know you gave some strategies, but if someone came to you and was like,
Yeah.
Jennifer, like I get to 10,000 words every time
Yeah.
I write my book. Like, where should I like what's the first thing I
Yeah.
should do?
Yeah. Well, after giving them a big hug, and maybe like something warm to drink and cozy, because like it is like you have to also be kind to yourself and be like, because the first thing is when I was younger, I would just talk about all the ways I suck and that other writers don't have that issue and they're writing faster. So right away, I'm going to say writing is a mind game. That is the first thing, which is crazy to me. But we can find ourselves out and move forward once we find out what's going on in here. So the minute you stop, I suck and everybody else is good, and you're like, hey, okay, cool, this is my process. And yeah, I'm not liking it, but other people have some other defects or whatever you want to call it, you
Right.
know? And so that's okay. And so you embrace it and you're like, okay, like you said, now what do I do? And I think the big thing is, what is your process, first of all? Like, how do you start moving forward? Other people will need some space to kind of breathe, especially if they have like high thinking strategies. So they need to kind of like lean into, okay, what do I need to like fix this block? Do I need to figure out a secondary character, or do I need to like write this scene? And the most important thing is, when you're writing with your mind and it's stuck, you need to come into your body. And I'm really sorry if this sounds woo-woo, but I've been coaching a lot of people with like blocks with that. And it's kind of like they'll get in their mind and they'll be like, I'm not writing in a voice that's going to market well, or this book isn't going to sell, or there's like this barrier in their mind. So I need to get into my body and make myself feel safe. I
Mhm.
need to be like, it's totally cool. It doesn't matter if I'm messing up. I'm going to fix it later. I find those things that self-soothe me. And then I go back to the page and I will try different things. That is the whole thing. I would say experiment. Try writing. If you're a linear writer, try that way. Try this point of view is not working. Flip the point of view. Um, like bring in a bring something. If you're bored with the scene, the minute I do is like, why am I bored with the scene? Usually it's like I can't get the character into the store to the party. Sometimes it is the simplest thing. And I open up the page and I go, where's the transition from here to here? And so skip that transition and put them at the party. Like tricking your ways of your mind and all of those blocks for me is the best way to move momentum.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, you say that, but like often when you read a book, you suddenly see them inside of a party. So it's like not like it's like they're outside and you're like, wait, did I just glitch out? Or like the book's just like we think that like everything is explained in the books, but I'll give you an example from comics because like we do this all the time in comics. Like comics is all about um we say the comic happens in the gutter. So the how a comic works is there's somewhere between one, three, usually 4 to 6 panels on a page. And like our goal is actually to get your brain to play the movie between those panels. That's the whole job of like comics is like what are the 6 best panels to show on this page to get your brain to fill in the rest. And and similarly, I feel that way about books. When I started writing books, it was like natural. It's like, oh, well, like my job isn't to write the scene. My
Yes.
job is to get you, the reader, to write the scene and to me to give you the information you need to make this scene real in your head. If I over explain or under explain, that doesn't work. But like, how do I get you out of your body and into my story for the time you're reading it?
Yes, I love that. That is exactly right. It's like setting the scene so they can put everything in those blank spaces and give it over to them. Yes, love it.
Yeah, and sometimes like having that glitch moment like you were talking about is like they will say, wait, how did they get into how did they get into this party? And you're like, well, then like they're engaged, like it gives that like active engagement to be like, well, I already know all of these things about this character because I've been reading this book. So like probably what happened is that they continued on, they did da da da, or maybe they did this thing. And like that we it's often what you don't write that adds the most curiosity a to a reader as they're going through. And you don't need to add a billion of those moments, and they don't need to be big moments, but
Yeah.
like often just having those moments is okay because like books need to breathe. They need to exhale like we need to exhale and inhale, and so do like books.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. There's space that the reader needs and the writer needs. And when you're in it and your mind is ticking, my God, I've got to get like 3,000 words today, or I'm never going to be delivering. That's again the mind game with, and then which is separate from the actual writing. So
Right.
there's a lot of that psychological warfare going on that a lot of people say, okay, let's just help me write the book, like help me. And sometimes it's about where they're coming from and getting them out of their head, like into their own story to get there.
Yeah, so I actually you said about the head and the body, and I do
Yeah.
want to like bring that up because I am much more woo now than I was like
Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
I don't like
But
to skip the
I've
woo.
bu- yeah, but I actually think there's three parts of it now. The
Yeah.
long and I started saying that I started thinking about the body part because I talked to so many successful authors who were like so good about mindset and
Yeah.
so good about like doing stuff, but like they still were sabotaging themselves, getting in their own way. Like they couldn't get that they couldn't make they couldn't make their mindset manifest in their life. They're like, I know I have enough money, but it doesn't matter because I still don't feel that way. I
Right.
started thinking about this idea of like body work, which
Right.
is like your body went through all of the same trauma as your mind did.
Mhm.
And your mind, I often say, people look at me strange. So if you do too, I will not be offended. But like, really, we're like a 3 pound blob of fat that's driving like a meat mech suit. And like, it's not like it's like they're it knows when it pushes this button, this happens, but it doesn't necessarily know why it happened. And so, like, our body also has to be trained that it's okay. Just like, and so if you don't have the mind and you don't have then you won't have the success of finishing the book. But
Yes.
like, if your body doesn't also have that safety, if your whole body can't get out of that fight or flight into rest and digest, then like your the most like what your brain is 3 pounds of a 100 to 200 pound body. So like you've corrected for like this 3% of your body mass,
Yeah.
but like you haven't corrected any of the other 98%. And so you're going to feel unsafe, even though you are safe, and it's going to hold you back. And you're going to be like, intellectually, I know this. Why can't I do it? And it's like, well, again, your body has gone through every bit of the same trauma your mind has, and like you are not healing it also. They all have to heal.
Yes. Oh my God. It's also like you hear the thing, it doesn't matter if it's good stress or bad stress, your body feels it either way. So
Right.
even though you're like, I reached the end, or, oh, I'm like, it's so true. And they say all the time, every emotion, all of that is trapped in the body. But
Hmm.
we like to be like, okay, let's just stretch and like move because motion but it's so much bigger than that. You're right. It's carrying us on for the ride. I love that. And I don't think it's woo-woo at all. I think it's something that we're finally getting to when we're talking about it. Because,
Right.
like you said, if you don't feel it in your body, I do a lot of, not a lot, I mean, just the simple, like I do simple meditations where I'm like, I am safe and I am a successful, healthy writer. And they say, like, it's not like, oh yeah, if you tell yourself enough times, it is setting the stage. It's setting the stage for like, okay, this is okay. And there's more care. So you can go out onto this fantastic, amazing war field of creating these imaginary people that are so real to you.
Right.
And I just think if we were more attuned into it, we'd be more accepting through the journey.
Yes. So most people think success is a leading indicator, but it's really a trailing indicator.
Yeah.
Like you have to change for success to happen.
Yeah.
So And the way you change is like your mind is as smart as it is dumb. Like it will just, if you say you're successful or you're going to finish this book, like you are
Yes.
more likely to do it. That's
Yes.
why like positive self-talk is so important. It's like people say like, well, you're delusional, but like all successful people are delusional. That's how they all said, I'm going to finish a book. And
Yes.
they've never finished a book before, ever. Like nobody has, like nobody who finishes their first book has ever finished a book before.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and we are delusional. And like when you start first grade, you have not finished first grade, but you still think you're going to finish first
Yes.
grade. And so like you are the kind of person who is a first grader. And then what happens in summer? The first day of summer, you are a second grader. You've never had a day or a minute of second grade before, but you are now. And what happens when someone says you're a first grader? The kid, you go, I'm not a first grader. I'm in second
Yes.
grade.
That's right. That's exactly right. All successful people are delusional because how are you going to have those big ass dreams anyway? I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to be, are you kidding me? Like the other, portion of the population is going to do everything to talk you out of that because they think that they're not delusional. So bring on the delusion. But it's true. It's like you're tricking your brain. It is not a weird, up on the cliff on the blanket being the Buddhist. It is not about that. It is
Right.
literally training your body and your mind to embrace success and be like, I'm doing this. And
Yeah.
that's the first battle. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you another example of what happened this past weekend. So I saw a dog and I was like, I love you, dog. And my wife, I was with my wife, and was like, why do you love so easily? And I was like, I didn't always used to love so easily. Like I used to be very hard to like for me to like anything. I used to be very cynical. But I was like, I want to live in a world where love is freely given and it's unlimited. I learned in my life that like when you love something new, it just opens another chamber in your heart to like start loving. And like, I'm not saying I love that dog as much as I love my dogs, but like, why can't I love just a little bit? And if I love just a little bit, then I love that dog and I love this thing. And like, I want to live in a world. And so I I know, tricking myself into being, because like, that is not the world we live in. But
Right. No,
like,
not. Are you kidding?
yeah, but
Yeah.
like, why can't it be? Like, why
Yeah.
can't that be the world that I live in? And if I can live in that world, then other people can live in that world. I often tell people, I'm like, well, I don't know if you can finish your book,
Yeah.
but I know lots of other people have finished their book for hundreds, thousands of years. And like the conditions that existed for like Machiavelli to finish his book were considerably more horrific than yours are because living in that world was like more stressful and more so like can you finish your book? I don't know. Like, but like I can show you literally 14 million books or 7 million, whatever the amount of things are on Kindle. All those people finish their book. Do I think they are exponentially smarter, better, more talented than you? I don't. I don't think that because, like, even the smartest person and the dumbest person the smartest person has ever been recorded has a 220 IQ, which
Yeah.
means if your IQ has to be one, like to just exist, otherwise you'd be
Yeah.
dead. So, like, at the most that someone can be is 220 times more smarter than you. And,
Yeah.
like, probably you have an IQ of like 100 because that's the average. So, like, at most, someone is twice as smart as you.
Yeah.
If, like, that, in like, just so like in the general rule, even if you say like 40 to 220 is the range, like that's not exponentially. Like someone's IQ isn't 15,000 and like four, like they're like we live in a range where like you wrote this email to me. So like I know you can write one sentence and a paragraph and like all a book is stringing sent words together and paragraphs into paragraphs and like then telling a story. And like we've been telling stories since we were children. So like what? Like yes, you can do this thing. Will you do it? No. Like it's like that Anton ego. Like a great not everyone can be a great chef, but a great chef can come from anywhere. Like not everyone can be a writer, but a writer can be anyone.
Yes, but the other thing also is sometimes you're gifted. There are people who are gifted from day one in language and stuff like that. And there's other ones. You should have seen how many people when I was taking, I didn't have an MFA, but like taking English courses and stuff that would get like all stuck up and I would just like write a scene in a romance thing and they would just be like, "Oh, like this is that." But what you can have all the gifts in the world. You can be the best trained writer, but if you don't write, you're not going to get there. So sometimes just the action of doing it more than somebody who maybe could do it better but doesn't, you've just upped your like lottery right there.
Right,
So I've always said that. It's always nice to know I don't have to be the smartest one in the room at all. I never am. But I'm going to be the one that tries it. I'm going to be
right.
the one that does it and that shows up for myself. And I've been coming ahead all the time with that.
Yeah, I got into an argument with someone going back and forth saying that like I don't have time to write or like I have all this stuff. And I was like, that's weird because you've now written 10 emails to me back and forth. And it's all writing. It's like
Yes,
it's like you had
yes,
5 minutes, 10
yes,
minutes, probably half an hour to
yes,
go through this process.
yes, exactly. Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, it's a lot of it is like what you measure, you manage, right?
Yes.
Like, and I love the thing you said about boredom to kind of wrap it up is like if you just let your brain doesn't want to be bored, so it will just like start spinning stories and start spinning things. And like if you go on a walk, if you do something, finally, every book genre has like a thing you can always do. So like if you have a book, if you're in a romance book, like just make two people kiss.
Yes, yes, I have
Like,
done that. I've been
yeah,
like, I'm just getting to the kiss, or I'm getting
right,
to this like really sexy scene where there's banter or whatever, because that what lights me up. And I don't
right.
have to like go through all of these boring things to get there. I'm just gonna write that.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like or like if you need drama, like make them kiss someone who's not the romantic lead.
Yeah,
Like let them see it. Like I just let them
yeah,
see a kiss. Let like
yeah,
in
yeah,
a thriller book, like let them get in a fight. Like there's
yeah.
always
Or
a
you
fight
know
that
what?
could come in.
Yeah, and the mysteries, every time I talk to a mystery writer or a thriller writer, they say the same thing. If it gets boring, I don't know what to do, like plan a murder. Like
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like somebody, okay,
absolutely.
somebody died.
Yeah, exactly. And like it might sound cliche or stereotypical, but like you are the one writing the murder book. Like you don't have to write that murder book. Like if you're gonna
No?
write a murder book, like it behooves you to like make it a murder book, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Do you have any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, I just know what everybody is going through. We all have like the different blocks and different things, but like just Russell and I say, just show up for yourself and try different things and just freaking write the book, guys. Just write the book.
I love it. I love it. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jennifer.
Thanks, Russell, for having me.